Six F1 teams are heading into 2023 with a change in their driver lineups after a year where the driver market became unexpectedly chaotic. And now we know who will occupy each of the 20 seats, who has ended up with the strongest pair of drivers. To work this out, we got our team here at the race to rank the lineups from worst to best based purely on driver talent. We then applied the F1 point system to the results to create a final verdict on who has the best and the worst lineups on the grid. As we start at the bottom and work our way up, make sure you let us know how you would rank all 10 teams, and if you disagree with our list but still like the video, make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you'll have plenty of things to watch during the F1 off-season. Number 10. Williams. Williams narrowly lost out in the battle to avoid being last in our ranking, but ultimately 8 of the people voting placed the team at the bottom. That had little to do with Alex Albon, who excelled in 2022 as he reinvented himself away from the Red Bull stable. But the fact the team ended up taking its third choice option by promoting F2 racer Logan Sargent to be Albon's teammate worked against the lineup overall. It's not that Sargent is considered a write-off, but the low scores for Williams were a reflection of the fact the American is more of a gamble than Oscar Piastri or Nick De Vries, who found seats higher up the grid. Number 9. AlphaTauri. Red Bull's second team only just pipped Williams to 9th in this list. More of our panel put AlphaTauri's pairing of Yuki Tsunoda and Nick De Vries bottom of the pile, but more 8th place rankings than Williams gave the Italian team the edge. There are plenty of question marks over this lineup. After 2 years in F1, has Tsunoda really proven he's capable of leading a team now Pierre Gasly has moved on? And as De Vries gets his long-awaited F1 shot, question marks remain over how much we can rely on his stunning debut with Williams to be an accurate read on his potential. While Tsunoda and De Vries were ranked lowly by most of us, there's also an acceptance that they have the potential to prove us wrong and could become a handy pairing in F1's midfield. While we're here, let's have a shout out for De Vries' former Formula E teammate and that series' current champion Stoffel Vandoorne. As our website editor Matt Beer puts it, perhaps if De Vries does well, it will put Vandoorne back on the F1 radar too. Number 8. Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo is a long way clear of the bottom 2 in this list, but also reasonably cut adrift of the rest of the midfield. Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu remain for 2023, and amongst our team there was a reasonable amount of positive feedback on how Zhou handled the step up to F1 in his rookie season. But in some quarters that also raised questions of Bottas. Opinions were mixed between the 10-time race winner being perfect to lead a team like Alfa Romeo, or possibly being at risk of having his advantage over the Chinese racer eaten into if he's not careful. Number 7. Haas. The last time we did this, we expected Haas to race with Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin in 2022, and that pairing was rooted to the bottom of our list. What a difference a year makes. Now Haas has 2 drivers that should be at home in F1's midfield and capable of scoring points regularly if the car is up to it. Bringing in Nico Hülkenberg alongside Kevin Magnussen isn't a long-term move, but Haas is understandably more focused on the here and now. It wants to continue its recovery from the nadir of 2021, and to help manage that, it needs drivers it can rely on. Hülkenberg and Magnussen might not feature the star quality of some of the other lineups, but as a combination they should allow Haas to punch above its weight on its best weekends. Number 6. Aston Martin. There were some running themes in our team's verdicts on the Aston Martin lineup. To summarise them, the main points were: Fernando Alonso raises the team's level, he should be an upgrade on Sebastian Vettel, and he'll provide a more consistent benchmark to give us a clearer read on just how good Lance Stroll is. That's not to say Stroll is a lost cause, but by the end of his time alongside the relentless Alonso, it'll be clear if his peaks are high enough and if he accesses them as often as you need to be a top F1 driver. Occasionally you'll hear someone in the F1 paddock claim that Stroll is capable of being a race winner in the right car, but more often than not the people saying that are employed by his dad, so you have to take that with a pinch of salt. If he holds his own against Alonso, perhaps there'll be people who don't spend their entire weekends in green team kit who feel a similar way. Number 5. Alpine. Alpine's new all-French combination of Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly is widely believed to be a pairing that is probably going to be fast but flawed and not consistent enough to really take the fight to the teams ahead. But if Alpine can produce the fastest midfield car again in 2023, there's every chance that this pair of F1 race winners can regularly score points to give Alpine a chance of retaining its 4th place. However, there's a slight feeling that Ocon and Gasly are the sorts of drivers who can form a good lineup alongside a top liner, but might they be too similar, or perhaps have a few too many limitations to really push Alpine on? Number 4. McLaren. The only element of McLaren's Lando Norris-Oscar Piastri pairing that stops this lineup from troubling the top 3 in our list is the wait-and-see assessments of Piastri as he prepares to make his F1 debut. There's plenty of praise from our team over the qualities Norris is showing as McLaren's established leader, even if the team's backward step in 2022 meant he didn't get many chances to shine near the front. There are high hopes for Piastri, but the fuss that was created over him in the driver market also brings pressure with it, and he'll need to hit the ground running to prove he was worth the effort McLaren went to extract him from Alpine to replace Daniel Ricciardo. Number 3. Red Bull. Red Bull's position in this lineup is in no way a reflection of what our team thinks of double world champion Max Verstappen. If we were ranking the drivers individually based on their level of performance at the moment, Max would surely be number 1. And Sergio Perez has done exactly what he was signed to do, back up Verstappen well enough to help Red Bull claim its first Constructors' Championship of F1's hybrid era. So as a pairing, this one works exceptionally well and achieves the balance its team bosses are looking for. But this ranking isn't about which team has put together the most balanced lineup or who has achieved the delicate balancing act of having a clear number 1 and number 2. We're looking at the talent levels of the 2 drivers put together, and while there's little to choose between the lead drivers at all of the top teams, Perez was felt to be weaker than what could be considered the second drivers at Ferrari and Mercedes. Number 2. Ferrari. Ferrari takes second place on our list just as it did 1 year ago, and only one of our panel placed Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz top of the pile. There are a number of small factors behind that. Leclerc's first season as a title contender revealed a few holes in his game that he still has to work on, and Sainz wasn't always quite as close to Leclerc as many expected him to be. But there's still not much to choose between them, making this a formidable lineup that still has room for improvement. In the end, it wasn't the drivers that cost Ferrari the title to Red Bull in 2022. With the right car and better strategy calls, Ferrari has 2 drivers it can rely on to pick up big results. Number 1. Mercedes. All bar 2 of our team who took part in this ranking placed the combination of Lewis Hamilton and George Russell at the top of the list. Despite a troubled season with a difficult car, there's no suggestion Hamilton has lost any of his speed, which makes the way Russell stacked up alongside him in their first season together very impressive. Russell's form relative to Hamilton was one of the deciding factors that edged out the Ferrari pairing, which has also proven itself to be very closely matched. But if Hamilton is considered still to be one of the absolute fastest drivers on the grid, along with Verstappen and Leclerc, then Russell's performances were the real difference maker that gave the Mercedes duo the edge over the other leading teams. We're yet to see what Russell can do in a title-challenging car, which, as Leclerc found out, can put a driver through a different set of challenges. But given he's young enough to have room to improve, Russell's well set to show Mercedes it has a ready-made team leader waiting to step up whenever Hamilton calls it a day. That's the end of our ranking then. Take a look at the full breakdown of our scores and let us know how you would rank all 10 teams in the comments, and we'll be sure to check out the orders you come up with.